Cool. But yeah, ready whenever you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Concert Junkies, Rob and John. Oh yeah.
And we're live, guys.
What is up?
Would you like to would you like to introduce yourself?
I mean, I'm just some guy
Yeah.
who happens to be friends with some pretty cool people that invited me onto their podcast. I am Chris from the band FDS, also known as Fate Destroyed, Los Angeles trap metal band. I'm here, of course, with my friends, Concert Junkies Rob, and you guys, if you don't know, you know now, Minnie from Dying Oath. How you guys doing tonight?
Hi, Chris.
We're doing good.
Sorry, I host podcasts all the time, so like it's hard to be on the other side of the camera. So
Same here.
it's so different.
That was actually kind of fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having us on. Can't wait to see what we got going on for us today.
All right. So I'm gonna actually. Well, somebody's saying hello from Michigan.
Hello, Michigan.
Hello, Michigan.
What's going on, Brian? How you doing, man? Appreciate Michigan. We love Michigan. We played Michigan twice. We played Sanctuary in Detroit, and then the Music Factory, and I think technically that's Kalamazoo with Raven Black.
Music Factory is dope.
Yeah, they have all the bands. They have like they let you scribble your name on the wall, and I was like, hey, how do we? Where can we put our name? They're like, oh, you haven't played here enough.
Oh,
I was like, oh, makes sense. And I kind of felt like a tool for asking. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
My bad.
so there's a venue not that far from me that has right outside you put your band sticker.
Right.
So like I thought that was pretty cool, and I'm like, I know them. I've hung out with them. Like, I think most places should be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I love stickers. I've seen friends' band stickers in places like on tours where I'm like, oh shit. And then I took a picture and sent it to them, like, hey, you played here. Like, obviously, I'll see like a rival sticker somewhere because they're friends of ours and they play everywhere. So
Yeah.
well, I just love seeing like the history of other bands that we're friends of or have looked up to on tours like that.
I'm gonna start with a hard question for you right now. Not musically, but personally, what do you want to leave as your legacy?
Oh man, not musically, but personally,
Yeah.
I at its base, I just don't. I want people to be like, oh, dude, that guy was, he was nice, like he was cool, he was funny. Generally, that like other than music lasting forever, and having kids that are also good people, I guess, might be the thing. But just even being remembered at all would be kind of cool. But just people having good things to say, or at least having a lot of friends say they were my friends. Hearing that pretty much matters the most to me right there.
I think you have that going for you. For sure.
I love people, man. Like I'm not naive, but I'm not jaded. I'm right in between. Like I know there's some shithead people out there, but I've got a pretty good bullshit detector. So I'll be pretty nice to you until those alarm bells start going off, and then I'm skeptical about you. And then if I need to cut you out, then I will do that for sure.
Smart man.
Yep.
So what do you think that you would be doing if you weren't doing music? Like, is there something that you really love to do that isn't music related?
I love that question because I've almost never had an answer for it. Yeah. So, I mean, if it's not music, I used to pro wrestle, and that might be my backup plan, which isn't really a backup plan because it's also like independent contracting. I just want to do shit that's fun, and I almost don't care if I get paid to do it. I'll do whatever it takes on the side to make sure I can do the stuff that's fun. I posted that. Oh, I was trying to send that to our Facebook. Is that are we live on Twitch? No, that's weird. I don't know why I did that. It said share to your Facebook, and I guess that popped up. My bad, guys. Don't go to that page today unless they're running a contest. They are actually. But yeah, just music, video games, and pro wrestling, and like just stuff like that. Like I love jiu-jitsu. Like I'm just a big 16-year-old kid, and if I have to work a job to make sure I can do those things, I'm gonna do that, and that's exactly what I've been doing.
So don't you like have a podcast where you interview like wrestlers and whatnot?
Yeah, so I co-host the Circle of Debate podcast, which interviews. It's kind of I try to make it a multimedia podcast, but it started as pro wrestling. Since I joined, I've incorporated musicians, I've incorporated MMA, and if I had the time, I would add more things to it. But I do also have to focus on FDS. So we review a lot of pro wrestling. We invite a lot of pro wrestlers on. We predict MMA shows. So that is like my second passion right there.
That's pretty cool. I figured that, but I wanted to hear for sure. I figured it would be something with wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching pro wrestling since the day I was born. I was born the same year WrestleMania 1 debuted. So if I ever forget how old I am, I just have to remember which WrestleMania is this year, and that is my age.
That's a cool fun fact.
I'm like, how old am I? Cody fought Roman 39. Okay, perfect. Got it. That's exactly how I go through that. That's how I live my life, man.
That's cool.
All right, since you were into wrestling, what was your feeling when they changed it to WWE?
I knew that, like, I understood the legalities behind it. I don't know what took so long for the World Wildlife Foundation to come at them. You know, WWF in that form had been running that name since like 81. Before that, they were WWF. So it took them till 2001, maybe at the latest, to get those subpoenas to change the name. And I don't know, like, what took so long. I don't know if the Wildlife Foundation like didn't have the money or the lawyers to win the battle. I thought it was weird at first because, you know, it's just change and I'm going through puberty at the same time. So I'm like, oh, that's weird. It doesn't roll off the tongue as easily. I've been calling it this for my whole life. But most people now kind of don't even remember that. So to me, it's kind of a non-issue.
You're so smart when it comes to things about wrestling.
It's not. I would win at Jeopardy, but not at life. Is how I put it. Like, it's a ton of useless information, but it's fun for me. So, no worries.
I love it. So, how did you get into wrestling as a whole? Was it just something that you loved as a kid and you just kind of stuck with it, or I know you said you used to wrestle yourself. So, how did you get into that?
Yeah, so it would definitely just be on in my house for some reason. I think my mom would watch it, or she would stop the channel when it came on. And I immediately, for some reason, was gravitated towards it. Like day one, like I loved Hogan for a while, but then when the Rockers came out, which is for a lot of your time, Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty, those guys, I was like, those are my boys. Like they were fun, they were fast, they were colorful, they were jumping, they were smiling, they were high-fiving, and that's who I am. And then Shawn Michaels, you know, separated himself from the Rockers, sweet chin music through the barbershop window, went on to become the greatest wrestler of all time. And I just followed everything since then. It just captivated me. I don't know why. It just does. It's like comic books. It's like watching a live action comic book.
That's a great way to put it.
You guys have favorite wrestlers? Do you watch it all? Like,
so go ahead, Rob.
Go ahead.
So when I was growing up, The Undertaker was always one of my favorites. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe the gothness that is me, or maybe I don't know. But I used to always love Undertaker, and then of course, you know, when I started getting a little older, there were a couple of others that I liked, but I really used to love Lita. Whenever the Hardy Boys were really big, that was one of my favorites too. But yeah, I used to watch a lot. I just don't have a lot of time to do it these days. I don't really watch a lot of TV, but that was definitely part of my childhood as well. So I get it. My mom loved wrestling. Nice. Goldberg was her favorite.
That's okay. I mean, that's not a bad choice. It just that's not a casual fan's choice. You know, that's like a hardcore fan's choice for sure. So that's pretty cool.
Rob, what about you? I'm dying to hear this.
Okay. Always Hulk Hogan, but then, you know, I like have like favorites, but like Maybe Doink the Clown. Like
Barry Darso. That's amazing. Yeah.
I actually met him once.
Doink is wild.
He used
No,
to be my
yeah,
favorite character on the video game.
yeah.
And he came out with like Dink with like a special move, and he would hit you over the head with a giant mallet.
Yeah.
Yup.
That's my
I know what
favorite.
game. I know exactly what game you're talking about. It was like WWF Arcade, and
Yep.
yeah, that was a classic. I love that game too because it was back when you could go to an arcade, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the shit for sure.
Well, they still by me they have 2 arcades. It's called Yestercades. It's one in Red Bank, New Jersey, and the other one is in Somerville, I think, or Somerset.
Yeah, we don't have anything like that here. I live out in the middle of nowhere where there's nothing. There's a Walmart. We have a Walmart.
Ooh. They have
Yay!
the free demos, right? Up at the electronics section.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Chris, do you have a name you'd give yourself as well? I have the names that I wrestled as. First, as a jobber, which is a guy who basically loses all the time. I was El Gallinero, which is a traditional Mexican wrestler gimmick handed down to the newbies, which basically means the cockfighter. But he was literally
Say what?
he was not a he at all. He was a human chicken man who balked and wore a painted cape.
Oh, okay.
He was literally like,
My mind was in the gutter.
A new name. Well, I would probably go back to the name I went to after that, which was a character I created, which was still a luchador, but his name was Cyberspace, which I loved. I loved that character. It was just me in a luchador outfit with a mask, but more Americanized. And, the internet was so awesome back then. So I was like, Cyberspace, that's totally me. So I went with that. And I don't joke, but like if I ever did come back, I would definitely still be Cyberspace. I haven't seen that name used at all since. I watch the indies. I pay attention to who's coming up. I've never seen another Cyberspace.
That's pretty smart, actually. And that was actually one of the questions I was going to ask you. So I'm glad that Kren did that.
Yeah, that was a good question. A+ question. It's like she knows me.
I have a feeling she probably does, huh?
Yeah, she might be.
Okay, I just realized something. What shirt you're wearing? It's a Nirvana shirt, correct?
Absolutely, positively, classic rock.
And you guys did a cover of "In the Pine."
Yeah, so that cover came before my time, but I know it existed. Right. So that song came out about a year before I joined. So any questions about that? I know somebody is on their way right now. But if you want a fun story that I can share regarding Nirvana and me and Francesca, I don't know if Minnie knows this story because she wasn't there per se, but after our first performance at Blue Ridge in 2021, we went to we basically just explored Danville, which is one of the prettiest towns I've ever been to. And we went to a winery or a brewery, and I forget the name of it, but Danville's not that big, so it's probably the only one there. And they were just coincidentally having like an open mic night, and it was local players just getting up on a stage and playing, and we look like a band. Her and I together, we walk anywhere. No offense to the Midwest, East Coast. Y'all a band? 100% of the time they're right. And so that happened to us. And like, you should get up on stage. And I'm not shy. I have some stage fright, but like, it's fun for me getting over it. And so we were just like, shit, we should do this. What should we do? I don't know. What should we do? We're just like sitting there like nervous, like we should do this. No, we're not. We're not going to do this. We should do this. What are we going to do? It's like, she's like, you know every Nirvana song. I'm like, I do know every Nirvana song. She's like, I do too. So we worked our nerves up, tons of pressure from the locals, and we finally got up on stage and we did like 3 acoustic from New York version songs. We did like Come As You Are and About a Girl. And that actually might have been it. I think we did those 2 songs and we didn't rehearse them. Yeah. We just went up there and did them. And, that's one of our first bonding moments because I was still in a trial period in the band. That Blue Ridge was maybe like 4 months into me playing shows with them. So her and I being able to share that moment was pretty magical for me, especially because obviously Nirvana is the reason I'm here today playing guitar. So.
And hello.
That's awesome.
I was just telling them our Nirvana story from Danville at that winery.
Oh, that was actually really cool. Oh my God, you can see my entire ass medical smoking device in my background.
I didn't know where that was going.
So anyway, I live in California. You know, it's like it's part of the thing.
Yeah.
No, that was actually a great story. That was a really great moment because yeah, it was like so random. You know, I still have that cup, the witch's brewhouse thing.
That's what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't need these. I'm not even.
Is there a way to move the comment so it's not outdated? Cool.
There you go.
Krim was asking me about, hey, Tank! Holy shit, talk about Blue Ridge.
Tank! I'm going to be right back. Give me like 1 second. 1 second.
Okay.
For sure. For people who don't know, Tank is ours and Mindy's stage manager from at least one of 2 Blue Ridges that we've played. He is the man. I've been friends with him the moment that he said, I'm running your stage.
Nice.
Yeah, he was just recently my stage manager at a local show too, which was really cool.
Fuck yeah.
Always cool bumping back into him.
Yeah, he came out to some love drafts last
Yeah, I was about to say, and I was not expecting that. We were just like sitting in the tour. We were sitting in the succubus, and I just like look over, and I'm like, no. And he's like, hey, and I'm like, what the? Oh my God, you're here! It was great.
Big hugs. He's on a big motorcycle, and I give him a big old hug.
Man, so I don't know what you guys been talking about. I haven't been here. I feel like I missed out on the fun. I'm sorry, I had to work.
Wrestling.
My history as a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
Here's the reason. I feel like I missed out on like the boat of seeing Chris pro wrestle.
Dude, it was before cell phone cameras.
But you know what though, Chris? I mean, no, that's about to be inappropriate. Anyway, I was gonna say. I just feel like no, hold on, hear me out. Let me like get it out so it doesn't. Now I've made it weird, so let me finish it. I feel like whenever any wrestler wears spandex shorts, if they're not wearing a cup or like whatever, you can just like there's just a lot to be. There's like I don't need to know what Chris looks like that way. Like I don't need to know what Chris looks like in spandex. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like not because of anything. It's just like
I wore long pants. They were like Rey Mysterio's pants, so they were.
Oh
tight.
really? Did you wear like the cool like knee? The knee pads or no? Knee pads or no?
Yeah, so I had knee pads. I had like shin guards.
What color?
Silver and purple. Because it was like a internet theme. My name was Cyberspace, so it's kind of like.
I love that.
Yeah, I can find like I have pictures of like what the costume was based off of, and they kind of just ran with it.
I love that.
I love it.
All right, so I'm going to ask a hard question here. If you could pick one song to describe you as a person, not one of your own, what song would it be?
Holy
This
shit!
is gonna be good.
I like that question. Like character or just like feeling? I don't know. I could answer it in so many ways.
Like, am I summing up ourselves or like our musical taste?
No,
or-
you.
No,
just you.
meaning
you.
you as a person. So you had to send somebody a song, and it would just they'll know exactly who you are.
Oh man, damn it!
That is
Like,
a hard question.
Like I know it's definitely something from Tegan and Sarah, but there's so many that I'm not even trolling.
I thought you were gonna say Tool. I really thought you were about to bust out with Tool.
No, that's like Tool. I love Tool, and I'm not really a big spiritualist.
I don't think you have to be a spiritualist like Tool. You just have to like mushrooms.
That's fair.
That's true.
Fair enough.
You have to like mushrooms and math. If you like those two things, Tool is definitely your forte.
Tegan and Sarah, though, really, I love
Yeah,
Tegan.
You have no idea.
I'd have
You know
to say,
what?
like
In our-
honestly, like the song from the album The Con might be something I would want someone if they wanted to like relate to me, because that song's about like it's hard to cry, but sometimes I feel stronger if I don't. If that makes sense, and that's kind
No,
of
I feel you.
yeah.
That's actually
like,
my favorite song by them, so that's cool.
So yeah, that song like top 5 favorite songs of all time because it sort of describes how like I'm tougher by not dealing. I don't say I don't deal with emotional trauma. I look at that as a problem that you can get through by not letting it get you down. I guess if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like I look to solve the problem instead of it stopping me. I got to push through it instead of setting it back. And that song is literally about that for me.
I don't know. Mine would probably be something by Nine Inch Nails. Probably Wish. not only for like the content of the song, but I don't know. I think like to me, the song in general, like, just talks about kind of like soldiering on and just like, you know, I don't know. You think that like things around you are real and they're a certain way and like they don't have to be that way. And I don't know. I really like. I like the energy of it. I like how chaotic it is. I like how chaotic the video it is. I think that like could be one maybe. I don't know. There's like so.
Like I know there's so many, but
a lot of the music that I listen to is like really sad, and I'm not like an inherently sad person. And then I try to think, and I was like thinking, well, is there something modern? But like, no, not really. Not anything that I think would be like all encompassing. And then I was thinking like some Portishead, but then again, that's like really sad, and I'm not really that lethargic. I don't think I'm like kind of all over the place. I know. What would you pick for me, Chris?
Holy shit. I mean, the hard part is that it has to be a song that you didn't, you know, you didn't put the lyrics to, because those lyrics are always like so obviously perfectly. Damn. Okay, hold on. I have to cross-reference these chicks, these lyrics. Hold on.
Mindy, what about you?
Yeah, do that. I'll be right back.
Oh, God. See, I wasn't expecting to get questions today.
I got yours when you're done. You're gonna love it, but when Mindy first.
I never want to hear Mindy's.
I'm gonna have to think about. Chris, you go. Let me think about that for a second.
Okay, she's gonna think this is like, I don't want to say cringe, but too on the nose. But I have to. She's gonna. Okay, we were talking about this earlier. I'll just say it. Save yourself. Stabbing westward is you. In a sense, because you are so helpful to people, and I think sometimes you do put other people before you because you obviously are so compassionate and loving.
Thank you.
And the lyrics are literally just like, you know, I can't save you. He says lyrically, I can't save myself. You can save yourself, but you.
Yeah, I like that. I'm with that.
Yeah. So, and then Rob found out a small detail about the show too.
Ooh, what?
He found out a little bit about you and that band before the show.
Oh yeah.
He was like, "Oh shit, really?"
I like that. Yeah.
Like I'm a fan of them. I'm a fan of them, but I did not know that.
Yeah, I toured with them in 2015 and 2016. I did like the reunion show with them at Double Door in Chicago, like where they're from. It was crazy. It was like one of the first sold out shows I ever played. And they're like precious few videos of me playing bass for them. And it's funny because I time doesn't make any sense to me. Like it doesn't, like none of it matters. Like I don't understand. People are like, oh, I haven't talked to you in a month. And I'm like 5 minutes ago. I don't know. But anyway, ADHD aside. So I forget that like people don't know that I got my start in music playing bass. Like that's what I did for like 10 years. Like I've only been a vocalist for like 4. So, and I'm 33. So pretty much I spend most of my life touring. I was like an endorsed bassist. So it's funny to me because, you know, I'll post clips. Like I posted the clips of this Deftones song I'm doing. And me and Tommy and Chris. And I like in the video, I'm obviously not actually playing the bass because it's like a music video and like whatever. People are like, oh, I pretend to play the bass. And then I just tagged them in the video of me doing a perfect playthrough of it, like a one take. And I'm like, oops. But yeah, so I forget that like people don't know that. Like that's really where I got my start in music was as an instrumentalist, you know? So.
Me too. I was also a bassist for like 10 years. So.
Yeah.
Let's unite.
So I need to change my answer because it's also where I got my stage name. And I can't believe I forgot about this. It's Mr. Self-Destruct. And so the reason my stage name came about, Francesca Destruct. So I used to be a nin. When I talk about fangirl, I don't mean like I liked nin. Okay. I mean, I would take summers after high school and follow them around the country. And like I was part of their like forums. It was called Reflecting Chrome. And they would do things like Easter egg hunts where they would like hide things in different cities for their fans. And like if you collected enough of them, they would like they had this one thing where they actually came and played a show at somebody's house. Like they played for somebody in their house. Like it was bananas. So I want to do that one day when our band is huge. But so I was like a super huge fan, and I was on my way to Red Rocks to go see them on the Wave Goodbye tour, and then I got to see them at the Echoplex with like 300 people. It was bananas.
Shit.
Yeah, it was crazy. So we were on the way there, and we were playing Mr. Self-Destruct in the car, and I was with like 2 of my girlfriends, and one looks over at me, she goes, Francesca Destruct, and I was like, oh, that's sticking. And I was like 8. I was like, I don't don't remember how old I was. I was pretty young. I was like 18, 19. And so that's kind of where it came from. Yeah. So it's definitely Mr. Self-Destruct by Nine Inch Nails. That's my final answer.
I think I finally found mine. I think mine would probably be "Hand in My Pocket" by Alanis Morissette. If you know the lyrics to that song, that's definitely me.
I did not know I was talking the whole time without a camera. I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, no, I love me some Alanis Morissette. I definitely get Alanis Morissette vibes from you. I get that a lot. I think I agree with that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like born in the 80s, but you went through the 90s, but you're still kind of stuck somewhere between. Like,
can't relate.
I think that's why we all get along so much, because everybody thinks that because I'm in a metal band that's all I listen to, because there's so many narrow-minded like metalheads out there. But genuinely, like 90s alternative and like 90s and 2000s new metal is genuinely my favorite like genres of music.
I don't know if this happens to you guys, but something that happened to me at some point in my career, I just was unable to passively listen to metal. Like every time I would hear a metal song that I liked, I would be like, ooh, what VST are they using to make that sound? Or like, ooh, I wonder how they got this, or ooh, I like that guitar part. So I could never just like relax and just passively listen to metal. I was curious.
Yep.
And so, whenever I'm trying to work or do other things, it became like a distraction. And so I almost exclusively do not listen to metal in my free time unless I'm like, there's like times for it, but generally speaking, unless I'm trying to sit down and like think or write or whatever, I'm generally listening to any other kind of music, anything. And I am actually an all music liker. I like country music. Don't care. I did a country song. It was dope.
You're gonna have to send me a link to
that.
Okay.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
So speaking about songs, do you want me to play them your new song?
Yeah, you can play them. This song has a cool story behind it too.
Yeah, tell them.
Shit they other, they just smile at me. Probably they coming at me like nah, she ain't all that. Got them tapping on my Instagram like damn, that bitch is bad. I've been too focused to care, don't notice who I fucks with me. I've been too blinded to see a fight it, I just look for me. I just look for me. They can't keep up with me. Red flags in the fire, I know how to get it. Drop pics from a dream, yeah, that's super pathetic. Fight deep, only see a bitch was my aesthetic. Dripping cookie tears like golden water, up and then forget it. Red flags in the fire, I know how to get it. Drop pics from a dream, yeah, that's super pathetic. Fight deep, only see a bitch was my aesthetic. Dripping cookie tears like golden water, up and then forget it. Yeah, the fire's where it came from. Every step I take from bridges, let me say something. I'm so sick of being told to sell my soul, but all these vultures and their circles, yeah, the shit is getting old. I speak the words and reflect it into the whole world, and it's just an aesthetic. Lost in the pain of these lies, that's prophetic. Venomous bitch at the top. Come and get it. I am in peace with the devil. So many scars have to settle. I am in peace with the devil. So many scars have to settle. I am in peace with the devil. First welcome, let me set the other ground. Get a bad love, my name, my ego can be found. Like a summer in the garden, I'm invading your dreams. Can't do better, think of me, I'm spreading my names. Don't get it twisted, when you try, you miss it. Time to settle up, you fake as fuck, just go on, admit it. Yeah, just go on, admit it. Yeah, just go on, admit it. Yeah, just go on. I don't want my name in life. Wrap up in the motherfucker, live up on the other ground. And how about you mount that life? I'm so hard every now and get lost, take a look around. I don't think you want this shit, only dream of it. Cause you see the way I'm living now. Do you feel the weight of the world crashing down around you? Never wanna jump this game of a ding dong that I try. What if I could gun to my head and I still won't see it till the gang. I'm down for this shit, why you think that I live this way? Fuck this love for you suck my dick while I pray.
Dope.
Yeah, super fun stuff. So Story time.
Yes.
So there's so many stories I want to tell about that. Okay, so we were on tour, and we were just like listening. I mean, obviously, when you're on tour, like you just listen, like you're in the car for like 10, 12 hours a day. You just listen to music. That's just what happens.
Yeah.
And so we were cruising around, and we were like just trying to listen to bands that were sort of trying to find bands that are doing kind of what we had an idea of what we wanted to do, because it's such a strange thing, because it's like too metal to be rap, but obviously, you know, there are parts of it that are not metal, but then like it's not new metal because it's not quite so bouncy, but then it's also not trap metal because it's not quite anyway. So we found this band called The Way to Silence, and Jay Figure is the guy who's featuring, and he's on that track. And so I made this like long post, as bands do, saying I would love to work with these artists. And we tagged like maybe 15 artists. It was like a whole bunch of people. And Jay Figure was the only one who like cared enough to reply. And like from that moment, he has been like such a good friend. Like he and his girlfriend, and like they filmed that their portion of that video in Australia. And they sent it to us, and like I filmed the rest of the video with this little 360 cam thing in this like it was like a youth center that's like abandoned, and we went and filmed there, and it was really hot. And it was, and you know, then Kyle, who was filling in on drums, filmed his section separately. And it was kind of crazy because the last time we did something like this was for the Crave music video during lockdown, where we basically had everybody shoot on like cell phones, and then we put it together. And so it was kind of cool. I've been like really trying to get into video editing, but yeah, so that collab was like a year in the making. There's been 9 versions of that song, all of which I hated until that one. So I feel like sometimes you just got to work with like the right people.
Agreed. So what is your writing process like? Do you usually start with lyrics, or you start with riffs, or kind of a little bit of both?
So it has changed a lot as the band has changed. So like generally speaking, now we're trying to work with producers, because we have figured out that there's a reason that there are producers that people go to, and that's because they are good at understanding like what are their tastemakers, right? They understand what's going on in the sound, whatever. Anyway, so what we do now is Chris will sit down, or whenever we had 2 guitar players, he would sit down and write a bunch of just short 1-minute riff ideas. And, you know, he'd send them to me, and I'd be like, oh, well, what if you did this? Or what if you did that? And so then we go to the producer with a folder, and we're like, here's a bunch of pieces of ideas. Like, let's just start putting stuff together and like see what sticks. And so we start to do that. And then not for that song, but the next song we're releasing called Ew. It's literally just called Ew. And so we were in the studio with Nick from A Skylit Drive. He produced that song. And like we were settling on a cadence or something for the chorus, and I would, you know, I don't play guitar very well, especially not with these. And so I'm like, you know, patting on Chris's arm, I'm like, this cadence, this, chug it like this. And so it's pretty variable, but generally speaking, Chris writes riffs and the lyrics come last, or the vocals come last. And it's interesting because I really want to try to not do that. And we're working on a track with this band called Notions right now. And I think that's going to be what happens with this track, Chris, because I just talked to him today, and he's like, well, I will lay down the vocals that I want to do. And the song is just like in skeleton pieces. So I have no idea what he's going to come up with, and we're going to write around that. Yeah. I think it's interesting to like try things in different ways, you know?
Yeah, it helps because I'm sort of programming drums right now, which I've worked as hard as I possibly can to make them sound, or at least write them like a drummer would. And Peace for the Devil is the first song I've ever released where I programmed the drums for it. And I'm pretty
good job.
I didn't do that for you, but for the Notions track, it's a skeleton, and like we have an idea. Sorry, go ahead.
So I wrote the beat. This one, the other song is
she wrote all the electronic stuff. I have basic, super simple drums, just a beat, just something to play along to a click to, with guitars that are as equally basic. And what I'm looking forward to is reacting to what they come up with and then changing those elements. Like if she screams here, or if he says something here, I could add, oh, that would be cool to have a cymbal here or a chug riff here. I can't wait to like react to that idea.
What about for you guys, Minnie? How do you guys, are you guys like meet a couple times a month or whatever and write in a room, or what?
It's like you said, it kind of depends. You know, sometimes I'll jot something down about how I'm feeling about something or something, and one of them will kind of translate that musically of what they hear or how it makes them feel. But generally speaking, normally what happens is, you know, we'll hear some drum patterns or something that we like, and we'll build off that. Or a lot of times it's Josh, the main guitar player. He usually will come up with thousands. I mean, this guy has like a riff factory, you know. It's like every week there's just a ton of riffs, and a lot of them don't get used, but some of them do. You know, some of them just kind of pull you in and it makes you feel something. And so I'll build on it a little bit, and then the bassist will come in and do something else, and then, you know, it just,
yeah, I mean, and you know, that's something I really miss. You know, it's definitely been an interesting, and I have, in every podcast or anything that we've talked about, I've never ever broached on the subject, but you know, going from being a full band of 5 people to being a band of 2 people and like fill-ins, or 3 people and fill-ins, that's probably the thing that I miss most, because, you know, I am in music because I'm a outsider who doesn't have really good social skills, and I don't make a lot of friends. And for a very long part of my life, the only friends that I really had that I had any like permanency with was my band. Johnny, who hates me more than anything now, was the person who started the band with me. And but anyway, what I do miss about those situations was like the collaborative effort. Like when we were at 47, you know, Roger came with a bunch of ideas, and like we met up at the producer's house, and like we got to sit together and just like watch this thing go from like a single riff to a whole song. And I do miss that. It's a little difficult now. And I think sometimes that, like, you know, it's probably pretty good that we do have producers that can add that element, that, because, you know, it's easy to kind of get blinded by your own taste, or get blinded by your own, like, oh, this is how I would do it. It's good to have that
for it to all sound the same. Like sometimes you think it sounds different, and then somebody that hears your music is like, that kind of sounds like that one song you did, and then you're like, damn it. Start over.
I have like some weird condition where, like, if I hear 2 notes from a different song, I'm not using the whole riff. I'm like,
that's how it is with us.
That Static X song in 2004 went dun dun. I'm like, I can't use it because someone else is going to say, oh, they just ripped that off.
Hi, Raven.
I'm clapping like she just walked in the room.
She deserves that. Lots of
applause.
Yes.
So I want to ask more. I like asking questions. This is fun. Minnie, I'm
okay.
Okay,
we're actually at that point. You could flip it on me now.
I can?
Yes.
Okay.
We're at that point of the episode anyway.
If you could have been the child of any musician, which musician would you wanted to? Like, if anyone could be your dad, like if you had to pick a musician, be like, I wish that would have been my dad. Who and why?
Oh, that's hard.
You see?
No, not really. Like, if everybody that actually knows me, I'm gonna say Jonathan Davis.
Right?
Hi.
Dude, could you imagine if Jonathan Davis is your dad?
I'd say
shirt, probably. I'd say Joan Jett, probably. Like, everybody knows that's.
I also wish Joan Jett was my dad.
But like, yeah, I would call her daddy anytime. But we can share. It's fine. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that she was kind of one of those people that was kind of the thing in my life that kind of just made me not give a shit about what people thought.
I love that.
Seeing all the things that she went through and all the doors that she had to kick in just to exist in the scene in general kind of just made me have that mentality the entire time. Because I grew up in a small town where, girls didn't really do anything. They especially didn't do music, and it was a very Christian town, so rock and metal music just wasn't a thing anyways, but fuck it. Nobody can tell you what you can and can't do, right? So
exactly.
You just have to keep pushing through it. But yeah, Joan Jett can be my daddy.
What do you like? So I'm always curious with this about other musicians, because it has happened to me. So like, the eternal plight of any artist or musician is you spend forever working on something, you put it out, and it takes forever to get out, right? And then once it's out, you're like, oh, like the next thing that I'm gonna do is so much better than this. Like I just want to, it's the next thing you want to do, you're like, it's not even good. You have to wait till the next thing comes out, right?
Well, plus I think it's that thing where by the time you write something, which you write it and rewrite it 1,000 times, then you record it 1,000 times, because especially with vocalists, I don't know how guitarists are, but especially with vocalists, like, you hate everything that you do. It's never good enough.
Yeah.
So by the time that's done, and then you do the music video and you've got to redo the song 1,000 times to do all your parts, and then you play it 1,000 times live. So like by the time people actually hear it and they enjoy it, it makes you sick to your stomach to even hear it. The singles that we have out are the songs that I hate the most,
Of
because
course.
they've just been embedded in my brain to a point where I don't even like to listen. I don't like to listen to myself anyway, in general,
Mhm.
but I definitely don't like to listen to the songs that everybody else listens to. There are like people at work and stuff like that. I'm sure you guys probably have friends that like they play your music, and I'm just like, can you not do
Of
that?
any
Like,
song except for that one. And well,
Yeah.
my
Right.
forever issue is that everybody likes same thing. Is like people only like the songs that I really dislike, and not all of them. I love Crave, like that song forever. Like
That's
I
my
love,
favorite song. I'll tell you, that's my favorite. But
and I think it's because we didn't really like we didn't give a shit about it. It was just like so in the spur of the moment. But my thought is like I was running to this issue right where we're like we've changed our sound, we've changed our branding, we're not changing our name exactly. It's like an acronym, but it's like I find that part of me sometimes wants to go and like pull down our old catalog, right? Because it's like that is not representative of who we are, what we sound like. I feel like it's
Mhm.
also like weird for people to come in and they listen to Crave and then they listen to, Peace with the Devil and they're like, what the, how did we get here? And so it's like, it's one of those things, but it's like, then the other part of me is thinking like, is it important to have your artistic journey up for everyone to see, even if maybe, there you have songs up that you really dislike? Like if you had a song up that you really disliked, do you think you would keep it up forever, even if you disliked it?
see, that's kind of a decision we've been trying to make lately, and I'm glad that we're having this as musicians, because it's kind of a back and forth that we've had too. Because as you know, we've also been a band that's had like 47 fucking members. So, especially vocalists. So
Yeah.
our clean vocalists have changed since the beginning. We've had several, and we've had this conversation about, should we redo those songs with the new vocalist? Should we leave them up? Should we just completely scratch them? Should we redo them completely, rewrite them, like reimagine them? Like what should we do? And it's hard because, your core fans love those songs probably more than you ever will. But at the same time, it's like you said, what Dying Oath is doing right now is nowhere near what we were doing when we started, and we would rather everybody just listen to the song that we just put out, not the old songs. But
And
we
I
all
hate that
know
Spotify ranks it from your most streamed plays because your older songs, once you blow up, no. But generally speaking, your older songs have a higher likelihood of being the ones that have the most streams because they've been up for the longest. I
Yeah.
hate that they don't let you choose, and I was thinking to myself, it's like, my bigger thing, especially now with everything having to be with algorithms and all that kind of stuff, is like, so Spotify also has an algorithm.
Yeah.
And let's say somebody comes to my whatever because they hear Crave on Heavy Queens, right? And then they come and then they follow us, but then every time they hear Wish You Would or Peace with the Devil, they hit skip. So it's like now we don't have the opportunity to get shown with bands like Amir or Attila or Fever 333 because our original catalog that has the most streams doesn't have anything like that. And so they're pairing us with bands like the Huntress and stuff. I'm not saying those are bad bands. I'm just saying that's not representative of the sound that we have now. And so like sometimes I worry about what's more important. Do I pull down songs that have hundreds of thousands of streams because they're not representative and they're going to get us buried in an algorithm? Or like, do we just continue to crank out new music until we can overcome that? Like, I don't know. It's such a hard decision because you work hard for that,
For sure. I think we've kind of come to the conclusion that that's just what we're going to do, leave up the songs for the other fans, the older fans, but the stuff that we're getting ready to come out with is going to be completely different. So I feel like if we just keep pushing in that direction, eventually, you're going to end up with the fans that you want regardless. And let's be honest, who fucking cares about Spotify? I mean, like, it helps us as artists, and it's one of those medias that we need to succeed. But at the same time, like, as a musician, who cares? They're not paying us anything. Like, they're not feeding us. They're not, they're not our mommies or our girlfriends. Who cares what they think or what, Spotify is like? Eventually, I feel like it's going to fall anyways, I feel like
and now
Spotify-
everything's about to get crazy because they just launched. Because now Spotify is doing something that they've never done before, which is now you can actually pay for you can't pay per stream, but now you can actually pay for streams, right? So now they just launched it this week, which is a full ad studio. So now not only are you fighting an algorithm, now you got to fight more people with money that we don't have. So like now it's going to be another platform that's like, oh, we're not going to put you on playlists unless you're spending money. We're only going to show you to 2% of your followers. But I think for us, like, I think every band has like a different approach to the way that they're trying to attain success. And like for us, the reason that the Spotify numbers and things have been important is because pretty much all of the opportunities that we've gotten. Oh, thank you, Corinne. She has a biased opinion, but it's okay. No, but I think a lot of the opportunities that we've gotten, one of the biggest things in our back pocket is to say, here, look at our streams. Like people like what we're doing, but it becomes, and this is a conversation that I've had with Tommy because, the different, like, obviously his numbers are more than mine. But like the thing is, you go to a Jinx show and everyone is packed. Like they always pack out every show that they play. You guys too. You guys play a show, it's packed. Like, and you're especially in your hometown or near your hometown or whatever. And I think sometimes I've definitely tried to use the scapegoat of like, oh well, it's LA, and I mean to a certain extent that is true. Like it is difficult to get people to come out. Like I went and saw Head PE in LA and it was empty, and I was like,
yeah,
what's going on? But I think like I hear what you're saying because like the streams matter, but they don't matter because it's not bodies and seats, right? And like that's how you get people come back is bodies and seats. But I have no social skills and I suck at people, so like, I'm like, I don't know how to talk, but here's like people like the thing. Here you go, hi. So I don't know. I mean, I think, and now I was just like really devastated today because it was the first time because I was looking at how our single was doing, and I was just like, no, why are you asking me to pay money to get my music to people? Like, don't do that. Like, come on, you were the last vantage of hope.
Well, like for me, I feel like it's another one of those things that just makes us put pressure on ourselves. You look at your followers, you look at your streams, you look at all these things. And I think it kind of gives you a false perception of like how many people actually like you and like your music and whatever, because one of those streams might have been a fan that is one of your biggest fans, but they may not listen to it every single day to where there's so many streams. So you're right, it counts, but it doesn't count. I think a lot of times it just makes us feel like we're inferior to one another, and that sucks because I feel like we're all kind of on the same page.
We are 1,000%, and it's like, and there are times when we've been offered shows where we're playing with bands that I know have maybe a third of the Spotify streams we do, but they can pull twice the people. So it's like we'll open for them. I don't care about their fucking Spotify numbers. Let us open. Like we'll open for them. I don't care what and we get asked to headline shows and we turn it down. Like we turn down headlining shows because I'm not going to look a promoter in the face and say, oh, I can bring 200 people to the show because I can't. And it's like the numbers that we have on Spotify. Like what's interesting about like our social media in general, I think, is that it's pretty like far reaching. Like it's not just like US based. So I think a lot of people are just like, it's really spread out. And while we were on tour, it was very interesting to get like it's a very real check on like what you're actually doing. And it's good to have those reality checks. So yeah, no, like I agree. And I think, early in my career, I made a lot of mistakes about like caring about it too much. And like now, it's like, that's the reason I wanted to be so serious about playing festivals, because the festivals is like, look, a tour takes a long time. It takes a lot of money, and pretty much most tours at this point are buy-ons. We all know that. We should all talk about it. We should not make it a secret. You can pay to play, and it's a lot of money. So you go and play a festival show, and yes, that slot, if you have to buy on, may cost you $4,000 or $5,000, but you're playing to thousands of people, and then like, it's like then those people remember you. They say, "Oh, I saw you at such and such festival. We saw, whatever." And so like, I used to think that it was important to get the streams before dealing with the touring stuff, but I agree, like, and especially like I said, after like spending time with Tommy and being around other musicians who feel the same way that you do, it's just like, who gives a shit if I went to a show, this true story, I went to a show in LA with this rapper guy and he had like 2 million monthly streams, like listeners, just huge. I went there and it was like 12 people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? How, like, I don't understand. Like, what is this?
Honestly, I think that you guys are brilliant. I'm not saying that because you're my friends and I love you, but I think you guys are brilliant when it comes to like the business side of things and things like that, because I feel like your followers and your streams and all those things, they really do kind of show who you are, because you're so business minded that you have all these things to back it up. You know what I mean? But if you go and look at our streams right now, yeah, we can pack a house all day long. But at the end of the day, like, if somebody were to go look at our streams right now, they'd be like, your band sucks. Because Spotify, I'll be honest, hasn't been one of the things that we've like actually worked
Focused
on
on, yeah.
or cared about. And so I haven't looked at it lately, but the last time I looked, it was like 500 monthly listeners. It's like
Which is
almost
crazy because you guys definitely are way bigger than that. So I guess the point for all of us is, look, if you're checking out Spotify and you see a band and they have a small amount of monthly listeners, fucking listen to them anyway. You have no idea. Like, give them a chance, because sometimes I come across bands that have like almost no monthly listeners. Like, okay, so for example, Tommy's other band, he's in a band called Newcomer. They're about to drop a single with this like legendary hardcore guy. Anyway, so that comes out August 25th. And like, what's crazy about it is like they have maybe 1,100 monthly listeners, but like they sell out every show they play in New York. They've sold out every show, and it's like consistently sold out. I'm sorry. Hold
Okay, while we're waiting for her to come back, I'm actually going to have to wrap this up very soon.
Cool.
I could genuinely talk to you guys for like hours on end.
Yeah.
So could I.
I mean, any closing questions until she gets back from me, or
yeah. Do you have any messages for your fans?
Oh man, that's such weird. You know, just it depends on what you're looking to do. Like, is it a message for other musicians who are fans, or is it like life advice? Like, I'm not qualified enough to give life advice, you know. Like, I'm like Bill and Ted, just be excellent to each other, I guess, as far as life goes. But if you're a musician out there, like, it's really hard to find who you are, but sometimes like it's still fun. Like, you know, the band has evolved into what it is now, and I know that we're truly happy with the sound, and I think that they were happy with the sound before, but I think evolving matters. But one advice to musicians is to make music that you would listen to, or make music that you would buy. Most importantly. Yeah, like I listen to as much music as diverse in the rock world. At least I'm not big into country, not really big into a lot of rap, but all the music that I listen to, I would totally be stoked listening or performing it as well. So just, you know, don't put too much pressure on like finding your sound. Just listen to your influences. You're like, hey man, I like this, I like that. Like, let me try to do that. Don't worry about sounding like them at first, because you're going to do that. I sounded like Nirvana and Tool when I first started. Then I eventually ended up sounding like Lamb of God. And then I started sounding like Trivium. And then I started sounding like all these other bands. But then in the Deftones, but then it all melted together into this big rainbow crayon where I think I finally sound like myself, but I'm influenced by all the bands that I just mentioned. So don't put a lot of pressure on like what other people think you're going to sound like. Just have fun with what you can create.
Wait to see y'all again, Mini Dango Saturday. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Message for our followers. I mean, mine is more like a thank you. Really a thank you, because like I'm not going to do like the whole we wouldn't be able to, because like everybody already knows that. But no, the real thing is like, look, there's like 500 billion bands, and it's so saturated, and it's like so tough. And so, you know, like I hope in some ways that like our music can be there for you the way that you guys are there for us. And like, you know, it's one of those things where it's like sometimes this is all I have to get me through, and sometimes, you know, when I'm feeling really close to the edge and I don't know what to do, like Chris will be like, write about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do that, and then I write about it, and then like we have a song and things are okay. So I guess just like thank you for spending your time with us. We know you don't have to. Thank you for supporting a small band. Everybody only wants to support people who are already popular. So if you're out there, if you're watching this, if you're supporting any local band, small band, whatever, like we really appreciate you, and like thank you for like not being like an elitist piece of shit. Thank you.
Only
Well-
you can end gatekeeping.
You know, with that, I just want to thank you guys because like you've kind of been one of those bands for me that like paved the way for people like me to be like, you know, I can do whatever kind of music I want, I can sound how I want, I can do what I want, and I don't have to worry about what people think about it because I feel like your core fans are going to be there no matter what, and they're there for the right reasons. And it took a while for me to figure that out, but you guys were one of the bands in the beginning that like really helped navigate me through that because I used to be a bass player too. So I didn't have to worry about what I sounded like or what I was doing. And then when I became a vocalist, I was like, you know, I know what I'm doing, but I don't really know the direction I want to go in. There's just so many things. And you guys were one of the bands that really just kind of showed me that it doesn't fucking matter. You can do
It
whatever
doesn't.
you want.
There are no
You
rules. Like
literally do whatever you want
it
as
doesn't
long
matter.
as you're happy and you're making music that makes you happy. And I commend you guys for that because you did take a crazy turn, but I love that for you because I feel like you're actually doing what makes you happy and what you
Finally.
love. And I think that's going to show through more than just the people that wanted you to stay the same.
Right, and I agree with that. You know, I don't know how many people on this show know how long I've known Mindy, how long like any of this, like you know, we've like bands have been tangentially connected. People talk whatever from like back when I lived in Texas, like it was a really long time ago. It was like 12 years ago. It was a really long time ago. I've known Mindy a long time, and it's like I can't tell you guys that when we played Blue Ridge, right? Like our entire band cried when we watched you guys play Blue Ridge. Like all we all like just nasty crying, just crying. And it was great, you know, and we all shared in this moment because it's like this energy and in this moment in time where it's like, you know, all of this hard work and all of this grind and all of this, and especially like us, and I'm not even gonna harp on the being a woman thing. I'm talking about us who came as bass players, as instrumentalists who like are trying to do this new thing and standing in front of people, and like to have that moment together was really special, and it feels good to feel it pay off. And so it's like I think in the same way, like you have shown us what it is to be a band that like is about your fans and is about that, and like you know you really push us to like be more interactive with you know those people and like try to build that community. And you know I'm just glad that like you are of the same mindset of the people who we are all here to support each other and not here to like there's no competition, like it just isn't, you know. So yeah,
I agree. I think one of the bigger moments, I don't know, I know that Rob knows this because I've talked about it before, but one of the bigger moments for me was when I was on stage our first year at Blue Ridge, and you know we had that great moment, but I looked down and I saw you guys like right there at the stage, and it just pushed me to be my absolute best because I love you guys that much.
no.
It kind of goes throughout our whole career that way though. You know, if we continue to build each other up and to be there for each other and to love each other and support each other, that's genuinely what it's all about because we're all going to succeed in that way.
Hell yeah. And
you
we love you
guys-
too, Raven. Woo! Thank you so much for having us, Rob. You are awesome. Like you are really out there in the trenches, like being supportive and like helping us to, you know, get word out about what we're doing and everything. So like, man, even if you're not like any contributions, all that kind of stuff is like really important. So thank you for having us. Like,
No problem.
you know, appreciate
He's
you.
got that cash app right there too, so feel free to hit that up.
Yeah, what do you call it? I have a Spotify playlist for almost everybody that's been on the show. I have at least 2 of your songs up there.
We'll pin it to our profile. Just send it to me.
I will.
Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, do you want to drop all your handles and everything where you can be followed? And
Yes. Sure, we can do that. For sure. So you can follow us at FDS Band Official on pretty much everything. But the main thing is like I don't know what I was gonna say. Hold on, I got this. I was going to say we just dropped a new single. It's called Peace with the Devil. It's featuring J Figure. The song is getting like it I thought it was gonna be a flop because when I first posted it for the first couple of days, it was like dog shit, nothing. And then like suddenly it's just been like whoop, and it's going crazy. So go check it out. And yeah, so follow us at FDS Band, Fate Destroyed, anywhere, everywhere, all the places, all that good shit. And if you're in Akron, Ohio, we're gonna be there September 16th for Summit Fest. We're playing that, and then yeah, that's pretty much what we's doing.
Kicking ass.
so I just have a reminder before we cut this. It is on Concert Junkies, Rob and John Facebook, YouTube, Twitch is just Concert Rob, and maybe on TikTok later. And most of my fans probably know or not know I'm on Cameo now. So just look for Robert M. Rosenthal, and I will send you a video back, whatever you want me to say.
Cool.
Love that, man. That's awesome.
Thank you guys for the time. I hope you guys have a good one.
Thank
Love
you.
guys.
Bye.
Thank you. You too.